So, welcome to the class again, and we are going to, in continuation with national income and the basic concepts. And in this, we are going to talk about goods. Now, goods are uh, whatever we buy, which comes under the purview of money in economics. So, they are known as economic goods, and they are inclusive of services, and there are non-economic goods which do not come under the purview of money. And in goods we are going to do what is known as final goods and intermediate goods. And in final goods we have what is known as consumer goods and what we have as producer goods, sometimes even capital goods, they say. So this is what we are going to do. Please have a look at this. So, in economics, the term good is defined as any commodity, natural or man-made, or service that commands a price in the market. So, anything which has a price in the market is known as an economic good. And goods are often classified, as we've just written, as final goods and intermediate goods. So what are final goods? So goods which are used by their ultimate users are called final goods. So these goods are either used for final consumption or for final investment. These are not meant for resale. So final goods do not undergo any further change in the process of production. And these are called final because once these are sold, they cross the production boundary and reach their final users. So what is production boundary? It is a boundary line around the producing sector. So as you see, you can see that if you are talking about final goods, they are categorized into three categories, classified into three categories. One is consumer goods, second is capital goods, and the third is investment goods. So let's take them one by one. So what is consumer goods? Okay, final goods, when we were talking about, there is something else in that. They are not meant for resale, as I pointed out, and when they are used by consumers, they are final consumption goods, and when they are used by the producers, they are known as final investment goods. So then we come to what is known as, let's talk about intermediate goods. So what are intermediate goods? They are those goods which are used as raw material for production of other goods, or they are used for resale in the same year. So once again, intermediate goods are used for producing other goods, and second, these goods are resold during the same year, that is a year of purchase. These are also known as non-factor inputs. The value of these inputs so these are known as non-factor inputs. The value of these inputs gets merged into the commodity for which they are used. So intermediate goods are not ready for use by their ultimate users. For example, let's take, biscuits or a cake. So in this, if you're using sugar is used here. So suppose sugar mill is purchased. The sugar mill purchases sugar cane from the farmers, which is used to produce sugar. So sugar cane is an intermediate goods, and sugar again will be an intermediate good if it is used for baking a cake or making a cake, so and so forth. So till when it is not really finally used to be sold finally, till then it is an intermediate good. So we can see that talking about the distinction between final and intermediate goods, when the intermediate goods are used up in the production process. So that is, these are the non-durable goods and therefore resale in the same year. And consumer goods, what are they? Talking about consumer goods, what are these? These are also final goods, but they are single-use consumer goods, they are durable use consumer goods, semi-durable goods, and also services. So consumer goods or consumption goods which are used by the consumers for satisfying their wants. Beside consumer household, these goods are also used by government and non-government organizations, which we'll talk later about these. But here let us just confine ourselves to the consumers as we know them. General government we'll talk about later. I'll touch upon that later. So single-use consumer goods examples, like for example fruit, milk, biscuits, etc. They are used only once by their consumers. They lose their identity when consumed. Durable use consumer goods, what are these? They are repeatedly used by consumers and they do not lose their identity when consumed, like car, television, washing machine. They have a slightly longer shelf life. They have a longer life. Semi-durable goods are those goods which can be used for a period of just 1 year or slightly more. For example, clothes, shoes, etc. Crockery. Then services. Services are also used by consumers, like for example banking, insurance, health, education. So these are called consumer services. So then talking about what is known as producer goods. So producer goods or investment goods. Let's talk about investment goods. So what are these? Even in producer goods, if you see, we have what is known as intermediate goods and capital goods. So intermediate goods are non-durable goods which are used by the producers as raw material during the production process. For example, use of electricity, stationery, office stationery, etc. And of course they are for resale in the same year. Now capital goods. So capital goods are those goods of high value which are used to produce other goods and services for several years. These are also referred to as fixed assets. They are known as fixed assets. And these are not goods which are meant to be resold in the market. Hence, that's why they are known as final investment goods or final producer goods. Like what? Examples: factory buildings, machines, office furniture are some examples. These are also sometimes referred to as producer durables. They are used repeatedly and do not lose their identity in the production process. And they need repairs or replacement as they depreciate over a period of time. So one question that you get sometimes is, all capital goods are producer goods, but all producer goods are not capital goods. Why? Because producer goods have also what is known as intermediate goods or raw materials along with capital goods. Capital goods are what? Durable producer goods. So with that you will understand what it is. And so these are, sometimes you just get a question as what differentiate between final goods and intermediate goods. So in this we've just done about that.